since this is called the Brahmavihara Monastery, maybe I should start off with this topic, 4 sublime states. So the Pali is called Brahmaviharas. They are the 4, we call it wholesome emotional states, very useful for our practice. We tried the practice yesterday, so we'll talk a bit some of these benefits. Okay, so a bit of marketing. We talk about the 11 benefits of this loving kindness, or we practice the sublime states. There are 11 benefits. 11, So 3 has to got to do with sleep. Who has sleeping problem? Okay. That means you must do more metta. Must do more metta. This is the benefit. Buddha say one, not I say one. So might help you if your sleeping problem. So first one, you sleep happily. Because if you wish all beings are happy, you feel happy throughout the day, it will habitually bring you to your last moment before you sleep. So that would be the ideal case. Okay, then wake up happily. So you continue also wake up happily. Then the third one, no nightmares. No nightmares. So it's very good, no nightmares. If your thoughts are generally positive all the time, then your so-called random thoughts will also be positive. So yesterday we did an experiment, right? We kind of let your mind do nothing and, have all these random good or bad thoughts. But if you can maintain loving kindness throughout the whole day, or the sublime state throughout the whole day, the momentum will be there. So even if you lapse your mindfulness, you kind of do nothing for a while, generally still have some positivity, or mostly positivity. And then you can easily bring back to the right track. So that would be the ideal case. Okay, so if this retreat, for those with sleeping problem, you try you do your best and see within the next few days any improvement. Yeah. Okay, then the next 3 has to do with interpersonal relationships. Interpersonal relationship. So one of them is dear to human beings. Dear to human beings. That means people will be generally nicer to you. The next one is dear to non-human beings. Dear to non-human beings. So I do not know it works for mosquitoes or what. So that means all beings generally will reduce their hostility towards you. Reduce, not 100%, but reduce. So don't go and try. You look at the 1,000 picture, don't go and try. Look, you see one wild animal, go and approach. I got metta, and you go and approach, then you get into trouble. Please don't do that. In fact, in the Theravada teaching, like this Sabbasava Sutta, the Buddha encouraged the monks to stay away from wild animals. Stay away, not to purposely go near the wild animal. We're not like the documentary film, we're not the wolf whisperer or bear whisperer, so no. Unless you're trained, then it's a different thing. Okay, then the last one, deities will protect you. Deities will protect you. So these dear to non-humans include the ghosts, include the deities. So if you are generally positive, we believe the devas will come and protect you. Generally. But most of the devas usually not from the earthbound deities. We say talk about skybound and above. Usually they don't like to come to earth. They don't like to come to the human realm. They find the human realm very smelly. They don't like to come. So there's a conversation between Brahmin and the Buddha regarding these devas, how often they come down and stuff like that. So the Buddha asked this Brahmin, because he just showered finished, and you wear white also, and you wear white. So suppose there's a pond in front of you, a pond of mud in front of you. Would you want to jump in? You say, no lah, I just shower, why I jump down for? I get myself dirty. Then the Buddha said, exactly. The devas also, most of them won't want to come down. Yeah, why would they get themselves dirty for what, right? So most of them do not want to come down. But the Buddha said, but if there is these jewels inside the mud, gold, got diamond, got all the precious stone, the ruby and whatever gems, would you want to jump inside? He said, yes, I'll jump in. I can shower again, no problem. You jump in. And you take whatever and don't need to work for the rest of his life. So the same thing, these devas, actually a lot of them are very practical. A lot of them are very practical. So they want to make merit, they will come down. So one example is this king, Deva Sakaraja, this King Saka, from the realm of the 33 kings. He will disguise himself as a human just to give alms round to this Venerable Kassapa, is it? I think, yeah, Venerable Kassapa. And then Venerable Kassapa is like, hey, why you pretend to be human for what? Give the human a chance to do dana. Then he said, we also want merit. Heavenly beings also want merit. So because heavenly beings up there, no poverty. Supposedly, heaven, no poverty, no starvation. How to do charity? So they will come down to earth come down to earth. So those who are wholesome, they want to make more merit, then they help the wholesome humans. And then of course, devas also got a whole range. There are those not so good intention one. So they prey upon the unwholesome humans. So we have a whole range of devas. Not all devas are good. For example, like Mara. Mara is also a deva. There are some demons, the yakas, they are also devas. So some of the yakas also threaten the Buddha. The Buddha walked past in a certain depth of the forest, and the yaka challenged the Buddha. You come to my territory, I will dig your heart out, or I will throw you far to the other end of the forest, something like that. So spirits or these heavenly beings, not all of them may be goody-goody. So some of them are like nasty creatures also. So like if you watch horror movies, those unseen beings that can kacau and harm humans, they will say ghosts but in Buddhist classification, they should be classified as earthbound devas. Earthbound devas. Hungry ghosts have no strength to harm you. Too hungry already. So we talk about earthbound devas. Okay. Ashura could be close. Ashura actually quite close to the Tawatingsa heaven. And they should be busy fighting with each other. No time to come to us. Okay. Earthbound Deva Topikong, I'm not sure because these are Chinese deities. But if you want to talk about similarity, yes, there's some similarities. There could be some similarities. Earthbound territorial lords, yeah, there should be. Yeah. Okay. Okay, next few benefit. Neither fire, poison, nor weapons can touch you. So some people think you practice metta really, you're immune. You become Superman. Then you see like the Shaolin demonstration, no feeling. Actually, no. So we give a case example. Because some people read and they take it superficially. Okay, your practice really should be no feeling, right? Very dangerous, Sometimes, especially those, I would say, more superstitious Buddhists, especially those who like to play black magic one, then they test you, they won't be harmed, then they go and poison you and stuff like that. So I give a case example. For example, the Buddha. Did the Buddha get injured before? And you all know the Buddha's life story. Buddha got injured before, like this Devadatta want to push the rock. Want to kill the Buddha. So he pushed a giant boulder down the cliff when the Buddha is walking under, trying to crush the Buddha. Right? But somehow one piece of stone cut the Buddha's foot. Yes, and the Buddha got bleeding. Right? So the Buddha got injured. That's one example. Then next one is, how did the Buddha pass away? Food poisoning, right? Food poisoning because he ate something wrong, right? So he got this food poisoning. So the Buddha, being the most perfect, can also get poisoned and injured. So what are we? What are we, right? So there's a interpretation issue. So even though it may be loosely translated in this way, so how we should interpret it is, for example, when the Buddha talked about teaching the Dharma to overcome deathlessness, to overcome death, to reach the deathlessness, doesn't mean physically won't die, all right? It means the mind, there's a state of mind, there's no birth, aging, sickness, and death. So if a person were to cultivate metta to the more deeper extent, there will be some stability of mind, some strength of mind, or even some sense of liberation of the mind. So we'll talk more about that later. Okay, next one, quick mental concentration. Quick mental concentration. So practicing metta can actually make you enter concentration quickly. Enter concentration quickly. Because we talk about one of our craving is aversion. So if you tackle aversion, it's like close to maybe 30 to 50% of the cause of craving. So when you reduce that, the mind will calm down faster. Have you seen the Zen depiction, the 13 illustrations of subduing an ox? Who have seen before? No. I mean, you have seen before. So in some other tradition, maybe the Zen tradition, they will talk about an illustration how to tame your mind. How to tame your mind. So the picture is a bit like a cowboy, and this farmer try to tame the ox, then use a rope, pull the neck, then struggle here, struggle there. So the 13th picture is something like that. So towards the end, he's able to tame the ox and can sit on the ox, and ride on the ox. So that's the 13 pictures. So when you have metta, you don't need to fight with the ox. Don't have to fight with the mind. You just bring some grass. And so loving kindness may help you to skip some of the fighting steps. You don't have to fight, and makes the mind kind of tame down easier. So we talked about one example yesterday. Some people, they fight with the meditation objects like constipation. So we try not to do that, because the more aversion you create is unwholesome karma. Unwholesome karma. So we try not to go to that route. Okay, then next one. Beautify one's facial expression. Beautify one's facial expression. So if you practice metta, you can save lots of money on beauty products. That's why you take 8 precepts, right? So use metta to kind of make yourself look more wholesome. So anyway, there's example. A person can put as much cosmetics as they want, but if they put a long face, it's still a long face, right? But if you smile or put a generally pleasant look, you're more approachable. So one of the benefits, right, dear to human beings. For example, if let's say you go to a new place, you're lost, no GPS, no signal, no nothing, you meet a few strangers living in that area. Person A, put a long face. Person B, looks welcoming, put on a smile, welcome you. Who would you look for directions? Who goes to person A to ask for directions? Who goes to person B? Yeah, person B, right? So same. So side benefits, if you smile more, you get more customers, or you improve your human relation. Huh? Okay, next one, peaceful death. So same with sleep, if you can maintain this loving kindness, then you won't struggle so much. The last one, if a person pass away and haven't reached enlightenment, they'll be reborn in the Brahma worlds. And because these Brahmaviharas, the word Brahma, can lead to different jhanic concentrations. So we talk about quick mental concentration. There is this Mettang Sutta, there's an M behind the Metta, which talks about this concentration can enter, some of them formless concentration, these Brahmaviharas. For example, usually, if let's say we wish all beings well and happy, we continuously do it, usually a person may enter the first jhana, first level of concentration. Who is not familiar with the term jhana? Heard before, right? So that's usually we talk about concentration in Buddhism. Okay, but if a person were to continue, add on insight, add on this investigation of the Dhamma, it will trigger these 7 factors of awakening and lead one to the 4th level of concentration. So from 1 jump to 4. So that's for the Metta in the Mettang Sutta. But for compassion, we wish all beings free from suffering. A person can enter the 2nd level of concentration. So they bypass the first, enter the 2nd. But if you add on the investigation of Dhamma, trigger 7 factors of awakening, it can enter the 5th level of concentration. So it's a formless concentration. So we call it the perception of infinite space. Perception of infinite space. And likewise for the appreciative joy, that's the 3rd Brahmavihara. If a person were to rejoice with all beings, one may enter the 3rd level of concentration. So they bypass the 1st and 2nd. And again, we trigger the 7 factors of awakening. It can enter this formless concentration, the 6th level of concentration, perception of infinite consciousness. Perception of infinite consciousness. So they bypass, so they jump from 3 to 6. Okay, then for equanimity, then we talk about karma, being not shaken. So the mind with equanimity can lead to the 4th level of concentration. But if you add on the 7 factors of awakening, it will enter the 7th level of concentration. So that's the realm of nothingness. So this nothingness is not the same as emptiness. Different thing. So this nothingness is the same as what the Buddha learned before he gained enlightenment from one of the ascetic teachers. So that's the range of the so-called jhanas. If a person practices the Brahmaviharas fully, as in add on insight and everything. Okay. So in the Samyutta Nikaya, it's mentioned that the 4 Brahmaviharas can lead to liberation. Cultivating, okay, so this is Samyutta Nikaya 4.6.63. So it talks about compassion. So 0.62 talks about loving kindness, 0.64 talks about appreciative joy. So the 4 comes together. So 4 different suttas. You can witness realization or non-returner. So that's the so-called the Buddha's suttas. So there are some maybe post-canonical manual, maybe maybe the Visuddhimagga or some later works. They might classify certain meditation objects as maybe second class. No, okay lah, maybe cannot reach enlightenment with that. Maybe you need to change. You change to other meditation subject, or you switch halfway. Then you can proceed further. So that's for those meditation manuals. But in the sutta, it can be a one-off meditation object. So a person, if they want to specialize, maybe loving kindness all the way, it's possible. Huh? But now I teach a range, a few tools, so you can like juggle and sort of choose the one that suits you best. Yeah? Okay, now I'm going to talk about the story of Kuan Yin. Story of Kuan Yin. Who have seen the picture of this thousand-armed Kuan Yin before? Yeah, a few people. They all know the origin story of the thousand-armed Kuan Yin. You all know, huh? Okay, but even though this is, I know it's a Theravada teaching, but this in Mahayana Buddhism, I know this place a bit more encompassing. So I just share with you this story because it has an interesting moral of the story that I will talk about it later. So according to this story, the origin story of the thousand-armed Kuan Yin, before he got 1,000 arms, he was in this pure land. They believe Kuan Yin is a disciple of Amitofo. So Amitofo is in the Western Pure Land, not in this universe, some other universe. Western Pure Land. So the Amitofo, they believe, still alive. Then Kuan Yin is a bodhisattva, so need to train and become a Buddha, right? He make this interesting practice. He want to specialize in compassion. So one day he managed to look into the hell realms, managed to practice, maybe send compassion or whatever, managed to save some of the hell beings, able to save some of the hell beings. So it's like, okay, beings in hell can be saved. So he make a vow. He wished to save all the beings in hell. Save all the beings in hell. Looks like the job of another bodhisattva, but yes, he made a vow to save all beings in hell. Then he had a stipulation. If he ever regret doing this, may he break up into 1,000 pieces. So he added a stipulation, right? So as the days go by, he continued to practice, he saved some people, managed to save. Then he do a head count. He got divine eye, so he do a head count. And he found out, hey, how come the beings in hell get more and more? More people go to hell. Then he start to scratch the head already. Hey, how to save everybody? Like that cannot save lah. No? He start to regret. Right? He cannot reach Buddhahood if he cannot fulfill the vow. Right? So he managed to regret. Then what happened is he break into 1,000 pieces. And break into 1,000 pieces. So his teacher, the Amitofo, managed to know what's happening, came down and fixed him. So the new form is this 1,000-armed Kuan Yin. 1,000-armed Kuan Yin. So the moral of the story, at least from my perspective, is that if you help somebody with strings attached, that's expectation. So it's Four Noble Truth, you got expectation. Then if you don't meet your expectation, then you suffer. Then your heart will pizza into 1,000 pieces. Your heart will pizza into 1,000 pieces. So that's the moral of the story. So that brings to this one, which I was talking about yesterday. Okay, so there are 3 columns. 3 columns. So the middle column Imagine the middle column is the middle way, which is the supposedly correct way of practice. And the left column, the one in red, is the one that we're supposed to overcome with the middle column. So it's geared towards aversion. It talks about two kinds of craving, right? Greed and anger. So one column towards anger, and the green column on your right, it's towards greed. Towards greed. So these are the few kinds of emotions. So ideally, when we practice loving kindness, we are supposed to overcome anger. But there's some maybe common saying, you practice loving kindness until you can fall in love with somebody, Yeah, can practice until fall in love with somebody. So we call this personal affection. Can you all see from the back row? Can see. Okay, so the one that's mixed with greed, we call it indirect enemy. That means when we practice, can practice wrongly, Can practice until fall in love with somebody, something like that. So actually every meditation object can practice wrongly one. Not just this four. So I'll cover it more in future. For example, like the breath meditation, in the Buddha's time, or before the Buddha gained enlightenment, he used the breath meditation to torture himself. Practice asceticism. When you breathe in, he don't want to breathe out. He wants to suffocate himself. Or when you breathe out, you don't want to breathe in. Something like that. So when he was practicing the 6 years of asceticism. So the meditation object itself can be practiced in many variant ways, depends on how you interpret it, depends on your view. And so if your view is to torture yourself, then you will go into that direction. So the view or the right view is very important. But of course, not everybody start off with right view. So we can slowly realign along the way. Okay, so example of personal affection is like we love or we like the people that are close to us. So definitely got some strings attached, right? So this is called personal affection. So whatever emotion we generate through this, like liking people that we love, that is called personal affection. So we did the experiment yesterday when we wished for the people who are close to us versus wishing all beings, right? Very different. So it's a different set of emotion. So imagine if a person have, I don't know, thousands of friends. Maybe they have social media or they add everybody from their primary school all the way to their work. So there are thousands of people. Then they wish all the people that they know and they like, they wish they can spend hours doing personal affection meditation. Personal affection meditation. And may not lead to detachment. That may not lead to detachment. Right? So we need to distinguish between the emotion of personal affection versus the more middle way loving kindness. So this is the first one. Okay, then the second one, compassion. Compassion is to overcome cruelty. Compassion is to wish beings free from suffering. So that's compassion. So the indirect enemy, if a person practices wrongly, becomes passionate grief. Passionate grief. Like if let's say somebody close to you, they got something happen to them, you feel upset, right? So that's called passionate grief. So if you let's say in meditation, you over kind of dramatize your meditation, you think of some people suffering, right? Think on maybe, I don't know, Palestine or some people in Africa starving or whatever. Then you over imagine their situation, then you get too emotional, then some people do until they cry and they cry and they cry. Becomes you yourself dragged into the suffering. And becomes you yourself dragged into the suffering. So nothing wrong with empathy. Naturally, we'll feel upset. We'll feel upset. So we call this empathy, not compassion. compassion, very different. So passionate grief is maybe very close towards empathy, very close towards empathy, whereas compassion, it's active wish to free all beings from suffering. So that's very different. Yeah, so hopefully you get the difference. So for passionate grief, who are frontline workers here? Any healthcare workers or anybody? No counselors? Yeah, we have. So in your line of profession, are there people who help people help until burnout? Have, right? Very common, Yeah, because the more cases of suffering you hear, you over empathize, you get involved, you get into character, you personalize it, then definitely you suffer also. You suffer. Yeah, so some people quit the job, or some people get depressed, or even worst case scenario, some people even commit suicide. Yeah, commit suicide. There's this case story of this photographer who won some prize for taking a picture of this starving child in Africa, squatting down, and this voucher about eat the child, and he won a prize for his photography. Then over the years, he was thinking, how come you never saved the child? He only take the picture then run away. He was thinking, he never saved the child. So he kept on thinking and thinking until he got depressed. Yeah? I'm not sure, did he commit suicide or what? Yeah, so something bad happened to him. So the idea of empathy and compassion, very draining. So in daily life, you do need to plan. You do need to worry. You do need to think how to help this person, what to do next. Is that person okay? So there will be time for this planning and worrying. Normal daily life function. Yes, so this definitely will have. But the issue is we have clinging aggregate. So the mind like to hold on to this worrying emotion and like to repeat over and over and over again, like the whole day keep on thinking the same thing. It's an addiction to that emotion or that state of mind. Yeah, so that will be problematic. So what we are doing is we are using the active compassion to wish all beings free from suffering to cut off the story, not to dive in the story and make ourselves suffer, but from the wisdom and detachment perspective, when we wish all beings free from suffering, we're actually coming back to the meditation object. Now we are trying not to get involved in the story making. Okay, third one, appreciative joy. So appreciative joy is actually to rejoice. Rejoice with all beings. Rejoice with all beings. And it's to overcome this jealousy. And if let's say you practice with some attachment, we call it exhilaration. So one example, exhilaration. How many of you watch sports, maybe Olympics or those kind of national sports event? Nobody. Maybe some people. For example, you support your national team, right? For example, badminton or whatever. If your country wins, do you cheer for your country? Yeah, you cheer, right? But if other country win, do you cheer the same way? So that means got some biasness already, or some biasness. So we call this exhilaration. Right? So even though in daily life we do need to have some differentiation. For example, if let's say you're representing a certain, your country is being an ambassador of your country, and there's some people, maybe some agency or some political figures beside you, you cannot be cheering for the other country, something like that. So there must be a line. So you can behave in a mundane way, but internally we generate a boundless kind of rejoicing, boundless way of rejoicing. Okay, so the appreciative joy that we practice is to rejoice with all beings. So we come back down to the lowest common denominator, every sensation we detect, we are gaining something. So all beings also gain something every moment. So we kind of rejoice in that aspect. Not to rejoice in evil action. So if let's say a person rob a bank, we don't rejoice for them. If somebody put a bomb and bomb something, we don't rejoice with them. So we come back to the moment to moment kind of experience rather than the deed itself. Okay. Then the last one, equanimity. So equanimity is to overcome restlessness. Restlessness. So equanimity is having an unshakable mind. The mind not affected by the eight winds. Anybody know what eight winds? Four winds. Okay, so never mind. We chanted that in the Mangala Sutta, the mind unshaken, right? So the mind is not affected by the eight winds. So we have this praise and blame, fame, defame, gain, loss, pleasure, pain. So total eight. Eight kinds of things, the vicissitudes of life, the dramas of life, ups and downs, right? So if the mind has equanimity, it won't be affected. Okay, so the way to practice wrongly is called colorlessness. Colorlessness. So a simple word is bocha. That's the word bocha. Simple to understand word means bocha. For example, if somebody faint in front of you, what should be the correct response? Who say bocha? Okay, that is practicing colorlessness. That's called bocha, right? The correct response is to help the person, check whether they're okay, try to wake them up, and if those who know the first aid, then check the pulse and everything, right? So that should be the correct response. So a person with equanimity won't be too kancheng, too shocked and do not know what to do. Even though if a person is not medically trained, if they have equanimity, they'll calm themselves down, then they'll try to figure out what to do. Right? So there's equanimity. So hopefully I give a clear example. Colorlessness means bocha. That means you don't care. Don't care, which is not the correct way. Okay, so some people, they have this idea, or most of the people I know, they come for meditation or they come for retreat is to achieve peace, calmness, right? So they think the mind very calm. They have equanimity. They think they got equanimity really. Then when they go back home, all the peace lost. Everything back to square one. So that is not equanimity because you're temporary bocha a lot of things. Then when you come back to your normal sort of busy schedule, everything gone right. Then that's not the real equanimity. Yeah, that's not the real equanimity. So hopefully in this retreat, that's why I always emphasize the meditation is not restricted to sitting. You must take the right effort and the right thought in your daily life. Even when you're doing, you're working, you're cleaning, you're eating, also can generate right thought. So we are creating or programming this new habit. Yeah, this right effort, right effort, right effort. Okay, so hopefully in your back to home life, you can have some peace of mind. Okay, so I share until here today for today's session a bit long. I will share the second half later, in the later session. Okay, any questions at this point of time? Oh, pity, huh? You mean find the person pitiful, right? Yeah. I think pitiful also quite close to towards passionate grief side. Yeah, quite close to passionate grief or empathy. But pity will be like you put your ego higher and you're so pitiful. Yeah, yeah. So still affected by the emotion lah. So whereas compassion, we use if you want to talk about Buddhistic compassion, we always talk about free all beings from all kinds of suffering, not just external famine, the sickness, but talk about liberation. Yeah, so always aim towards liberation. So maybe in Mahayana Buddhism or Tibetan Buddhism, they always emphasize this thing of bodhicitta, to quickly gain enlightenment to benefit all beings. Yeah, quickly gain enlightenment to benefit all beings. So actually, they are practicing more Theravada than us. They're practicing more Theravada than us. Huh? Nowadays, the Theravada backslide already. Cannot quickly reach enlightenment one, maybe 7 lifetime. Or some lagi better. Okay, wait for the next Buddha. Aspire to be reborn, meet the next Buddha. Yeah, so some of the Mahayana Buddhists more Theravada than us. Huh? Okay, so any other questions besides the beautiful? Quickly attain enlightenment depends a lot of factors. So may or may not be easy. May or may not be easy. Yeah, but it's a good question. Yeah, maximum 7. It's mentioned maximum 7. So if you're more hardworking, lesser lah. Correct. Yeah, not fixed. Okay, any
compassion, you don't need to have empathy at all. I don't need to feel sad at all to see someone just.
That's the conventional compassion. I mean, conventional empathy. So these are the range of emotions that we are born as a reflex action. Most people should be born as a kind of reflex action. So very normal because you empathize, so you can behave in a certain way that is, we say, nominal, social kind of responses. If you always pull the same emotion, then people will think you're weird. So you need to have certain response for certain situation. So you see somebody suffer, you also empathize with them, and you kind of speak in a certain tone that's more appealing or soothing to that person. So very normal to have empathy. So that's why I don't want to. Our practice is not to eradicate those mundane emotions. These are there for your normal social function. But in terms of transcendental, we call this supramundane path, supramundane dharmas. We need to cultivate simultaneously. So the compassion is to keep on wishing all beings free from suffering. So it's an intention. Even though you may respond in a certain way to help. Let's say a person is injured and poor and starving, like some war victim, you cannot be talking to them about Dhamma. Think of emptiness. Think of impermanence. Cannot, first thing is to help them, treat their wound, and that kind of stuff, right? So only when they are okay, in a better mood, then you have a different conversation, and different situation, different conversation, something like that. Yeah? So we need the empathy for that. If a person doesn't have empathy, then end up you say the thing like encyclopedia, and nobody can get what you say. Okay. Yeah, correct. Yeah. Okay, so the ground-up approach for equanimity, there are a few ways to achieve it. So in our routine, what we are doing for the Brahmaviharas, we first have the notion, the concept that all beings are subjected to karma. So whatever we experience here and now, these are karmas ripening. So always no story making. You don't have to guess. In the past, what kind of good deeds I've done or what kind of bad deeds I've done. Don't have to guess. No story making. Just straight away karmas ripening. So keep on observing karmas ripening until the mind, kind of accept how these karma ripening, it becomes peace and peace. Okay?
It means you treat it like neutral. So everybody also will karma. So you look at them as no, I'm not to say no. So that means when you practice, you just have the heart not feeling anything.
Not say not feeling anything, keep on observing karmas ripening until you experience new emotion. So equanimity, at least the concentrative kind of equanimity, is a new emotion. No emotion would be callousness. That means you bolt up, you don't want to care, you ignore, then okay, my mind don't have any reaction to it, so that's called callousness. So active reflection, karmas, facing the situation, karmas ripening, until there's some form of detachment, then there is, we call this, at least some kind of concentrative equanimity.
So you first look at your own karma, then you look at other person's karma.
Not necessary. Just for routine, will be just our karmas ripening. Yeah, but in daily life, because we need to look outside, right? Daily life, we cannot be our eyes look inside all the time. We need to look outside. We can check both responses internally, how we feel when we look at certain events happening. So that's the karma's ripening part. But if our attention is outside, also can reflect, also can have this karma's ripening, karma's ripening, karma's ripening. But when you talk to people, you don't. When people in trouble, you say, see karma ripening. People will curse and swear you. So we have to say the right things at the right time. So karma's ripening is more for supramundane part, transcendental dharma. It's to liberate ourselves, not to solve any mundane situation. So this, we call this the Four Noble Truth karma. Four Noble Truth karma. So the Buddha explained karma in different ways. So one of the ways he explained is in terms of Four Noble Truth. So the first Noble Truth karma, first Noble Truth is suffering, right? So basically it's all the old karmas ripening. Whatever we see, hear, smell, think, taste, touch, that's the first Noble Truth, old karmas ripening. Second Noble Truth is our reaction. We create new karmas, create this craving. Whatever we see, hear, smell, think, taste, touch, we react with greed or anger. So it is for creating new karmas, could be good or bad karmas. Then the third noble truth is the karmas can be overcome. You can seize karmas. And the fourth noble truth is the noble eightfold path. So that's another explanation of karma. Yeah? So in our practice, we're using four noble truth karma. We're not going to think about, will I get wealthy in future? How to get long life? Not that kind of karma. Yeah? No. Okay.
So the fourth noble truth is neither dark nor bright.
Yeah, correct. If you walk along the supramundane path, is the neither dark nor bright, but it transcends. Yeah. Okay.
Equanimity is when we have compassion. We see someone in suffering, then we see if we can help that someone. You cannot help them, fall back to equanimity.
Yeah, we try our best to help in the mundane sense, but if cannot, we know our limit, then at least we are not emotionally affected, right? So we have all these practices to cushion us. Yeah. There's something?
Example, like now I not because of the mistake, but like why I sleepy. So can I say that community is so that karma is like something that make me not able to pay attention and just think about sleep.
Okay. Possible at that moment you reflect karma ripening, that might help. But you try not to speculate, or in the past I've done certain thing, to cause this sleepiness. No, don't have to go to that far.
But karma ripening, you will have to have some reason for the karma happening.
Yeah,
Something
correct.
maybe just say that
Mm.
waking up early most of the time,
Mm, mm.
and then
Yeah, we don't have to guess. So maybe sometimes some of them could be biological reasons. Yeah, it could be some maybe a health issue or whatever. Not everything necessary is got to do with karma. Yeah, not everything got to do with karma.
How to use equanimity to motivate yourself to wake up and I really love this
Mm.
I don't know why, but just my voice here. So the body is going to be around.
Yeah, real motivation is when you see some result. So I give an example. Imagine a person want to boil water. Imagine this table here is a stove. Yeah, there's fire and you want to boil the water. And I place my can on top of this fire stove. Over time it will boil, right? So when it boils, there's some sign, the bubble coming or steam and stuff like that. So there is some indicator for boiling. Right? So what happens is, if a person don't continually put the liquid on top of the flame, then you won't get the result. You won't get the result of boiling. So similar with our practice, we need to consistently, boil the defilement. So we need to keep generating the right thought, the right effort, every moment until some boiling occur. It means some result, some state of peace or some calmness, and that's the motivation. Yeah. So sometimes people will just place a bit on the fire, I reflect for a few moments, then you take away. And I enjoy daydreaming or do something else. Then you put a bit only, 1 second and stop. And you forever won't boil. And some people claim to sit for many hours, and you just do like this, and then come back. Yeah, I can sit for a few hours, but how many moments of right thought? And they claim they practice for many decades. Many decades. Then they tell you, I practice for many decades, no result. No result. They're doing this all the time. So they don't, we say must put continuous effort. And right effort, right thought, right effort, right thought.
It's not
That's to achieve equanimity. Equanimity means not doing, it's not about not doing anything. Equanimity is an active process to reach a state of calmness.
no matter whether it's something bad
Mm.
you always have the state of not blame, not
Yes, that's the result. That's the result of the practice. But there are causes in order to reach that state of mind. It's about boiling. You need to keep boiling. Okay. Okay, any other questions? Okay, if not, so and now motivational talk. The meditation instruction is more or less the same from yesterday. So I think you have some time for your self practice. Then we'll see you again during lunch.